Hello, welcome to a Sunday afternoon edition of End the Simpademic. This is Jason, just coming at you here from East Central Minnesota, and I'm coming with a really interesting one based on a quote that I read on YouTube earlier there, and somebody said that if you control your sexual urges, you'll see that 95% of women are actually quite boring. And given that I'm one of a handful of men who have actually succeeded in doing this, do I think that 95% of women are boring? I think the percentage is a bit too high, but I would say it's definitely a strong majority. Just from what I have seen and from what I have seen around me lately and out there on social media, I would still say that it's a pretty strong majority of women that are fairly boring. But it's not, I don't think it's as high as 95%. Just to be absolutely fair about this here, I think there are a lot of very interesting women out there. I have a couple of them that particularly populate my Twitter X on a regular basis. One is, they're both women of faith. One is a barbecue chef in Columbus, Ohio. Or I don't know if it's Columbus or Cleveland, but anyway, she's a graduate of Ohio State University. The other one is a conservative podcaster who is in north central Texas and owns a ranch out there and is a fairly independent woman on her own right. The reason why I'm qualified to say this is because my own backstory is very interesting in and of itself. I've been pondering writing a book about it for years now. I am both a cult survivor. I'm now a survivor of a near-fatal traumatic brain injury. I am a survivor of a Category 3 hurricane. I am a survivor of a couple of car-on-deer collisions that nearly could have been fatal in their own right. And there's just so much more that I have, and God has carried me through a very diverse amount of adversity and struggle, and the strength that I have comes from Him. There's no other way to put it. And because of my background, if I compare myself to what most modern single women have out there, I'm on a completely different planet, and therefore I'm not going to be able to relate to most of them. As far as struggles and adversity and things like that in life are concerned, I'm not going to have very much to talk about with these women. I'm not going to have very much to share in common with them. And therefore, I've thought that, you know what, unless God gives me an indication otherwise, I'm probably going to live the rest of my life by myself. And I'm okay with that. I live in a peaceful exurb of the Twin Cities, and I am somebody who proudly shares my faith with as many people as I can. But at the same time, this particular channel and this particular effort of mine is meant for everybody and does not necessarily have a Christian overtone to it per se. But that is who I am as a person, but it's not something that's going to define this particular channel, because I think my message is for everybody as far as having men reclaim their dignity and not be pursuing or chasing these women, and not to be groveling for them or simping for them. And that's my goal at this particular point with this particular channel in this venue. I will have an alternative venue for the faith component opening up fairly soon as I get a little bit more time here to develop a series of content in that regard. MGGOW, Men Going God's Own Way. But again, as a man who has gained total control over his sexual urges with the help of a couple of very good men of faith, those are the types of things I'm no longer interested in. The hardest part is actually the first couple of months, and the hardest part is making the decision to open up with somebody else about it, which is powerful in its own right, and to have that particular urge controlled. And yes, I do see a lot of women out there as boring. You know, they don't really have anything interesting to offer. And I believe this quote has some truth to it, although it's not that. I don't think it's as extreme as it is. I do not think that the women being 95% of women being boring is quite true, but I think it's a strong majority. So anyway, that's my 2 cents for now. I will hopefully be piling up these 2 cents and have a few dimes here later on. But anyway, this is Jason with End the Simpademic, ending my Sunday afternoon version